The invention of mechanized game calls in the middle of the 19th century allowed hunters to mimic the sounds of their prey. Before these devices came along, hunters whistled and made noises with their hands to lure birds or animals into shooting range, and their efforts weren't always on the mark. Whether it's a mating call or just a sociable "hey there," a game call is all about speaking the language. Of course, it all translates into big trouble for birds and animals who respond. There are dozens of different game calls, from duck to goose to elk. Each game call is a precisely crafted instrument. To make one, they don't have to look far for raw material. A bamboo crop flourishes in the backyard of a Louisiana factory. Bamboo is one of the fastest growing plants on the planet, so there's always a ready supply. The stem is hollow, which makes it ideal for the game call's larger barrel. After the bamboo cane has been dried for 6 to 8 weeks, they cut it to length, about 8 centimeters. But bamboo isn't the only wood they use for making call barrels. Others are constructed from walnut, cherry, or exotic woods. They're harder and a bit more rugged, but of course, they're also solid. A boring machine hollows out these solid walnut blanks. They load them 6 at a time into the machine's slots, and then lower a holding bar to secure them for drilling. A carriage moves the drill bits forward, and they hit the walnut blanks dead center. A worker locks a hollow barrel in a lathe. As it spins, he manipulates a blade to carve a slightly concave profile. This will make it easier to grip. He also cuts designs into the wood, which identify this instrument as a certain duck call. Each call has its own distinguishing design. As the duck call barrel continues to spin, he sands away any burrs or splinters. What was a simple wooden tube now has flowing lines and a defining design. Next, they spin a stone on each end of the barrel, creating a burn that blackens and smooths the rims. The game call barrels then funnel into the clutch of prongs on a revolving wheel. As the wheel turns, the barrels brush against a series of sanding belts, each one with a finer grit than the last. This final sanding makes the barrels super smooth. With a set of pincers, he dips the barrels in a solution to seal the wood inside and out. The sealant will protect the wooden barrel from rain, humidity, and the user's saliva. After dipping, he leaves the parts in the sun for several hours to bake on the sealant. Meanwhile, they machine a smaller barrel, which will hold the noise-making parts. Using a reaming tool, the worker tapers the opening of the larger barrel, and the two barrels now fit snugly together. A worker buffs the barrel with steel wool as it spins on a mandrel. The buffing gives the wood a silky texture and prepares it for a final sealant. Production now turns to the noise-making insert. A worker pounds a die into a strip of rigid plastic to punch out the reeds. It's this part that vibrates against the tone board to produce sound. The reed's shape varies depending on the kind of call being made. He aligns the reed with the wooden tone board and then inserts them part of the way into the barrel of the game call. He sands a little wooden wedge that will hold everything in place. He pushes it into the space between the barrel and the reed and tone board. Then, using a metal file, he forces the wedge even further into the opening to ensure the parts won't budge. He slides the larger barrel over the protruding reed and tone board. After some tuning, the game call is ready. In a way, hunting calls are like musical instruments. It takes practice and know-how to use one successfully. But once mastered, this instrument could attract flocks of admirers. After all, every game call has a target audience.